Hello and welcome to episode 21 of our Timberborn Update 7 Iron Teeth Project 1K playthrough. Cycle 36, day 9, still in a temperate cycle, and last time we added a bunch of storage for various industrial things, got this area mostly taken care of. Maybe not technically the best way, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but we are progressing very nicely, and today is going to be a whole lot more of the same, but I do want to build the ultimate construction scaffolding that we're going to have for the rest of the playthrough until we stop building stuff. We'll talk about that also. But first, I did want to address a couple things you guys brought up. This was not marked as obtain. Now it is. That should not be a problem anyway, but I figured that was a good thing to fix. And then I had questions about how this, why this was deleting everything, so on and so forth. I have also been told that apparently I did this wrong. And, yes, I definitely did. This is one block too high. That's very upsetting, but it is what it is. So what's going to have to happen here, folks, is I'm going to need to just, you know, I don't know, man. I'm going to have to figure it out. But that would very much explain why this was a problem. When I tried to delete this, why that thing went away, because somebody just put it in the wrong spot. Well, it's a whole thing. It's fine. It will get solved at some point, and then that is, that's just going to have to be what it's going to be. But I don't want to mess with that right now, because we have better things to do today, in service of trying to get everything else finished, accomplished, whatever. We've got industrial stuff that has to be turned back on. And we are making now plenty of power, and we have plenty of labor. I don't think it's going to be a problem. So, let's turn all of these things back on. Make sure everything should be good to go. I think that is. And that's going to help us get these things back again. We've got food gradually improving, slowly, as we're growing more crops. We're processing more things. Going to try to keep the labor about the same for the time being. But glad you guys seem to like this and the other ideas that we had about growing different things. I am still planning on moving this level up one and just having all of these be 2. But I figured it's probably about time to go ahead and discuss our different strategies for building and having the reservoir set up and everything. So this right here, this level 22, is the highest we can place dirt, which is why I built this up here for our irrigation. We theoretically should never have to touch this. The problem that's going to be caused if we have this across the entire map is if we want to plant mangrove trees, which I have not really firmly committed to planting or not planting or whatever. I'm kind of leaning toward not. But if we want to have those guys, they have to be in between 0 and 1 block of water. There's some sort of cutoff that's a little bit higher than actually empty, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But they have to be planted on grass. So the highest we could have them would be this level 22. That doesn't mean we have to have grass on the side to hold the water in. It could just be regular levees. That's totally fine. But this is basically the highest on the map that water can be if we are going to have mangrove trees and have everything integrated, so on and so forth. Again, I'm not specifically married to that idea, but I did have a passing idea that if we wanted to integrate the mangrove trees and the reservoirs in a way that would allow us to still have tons of water reserved and still grow a decent quantity of the trees, then I was thinking, maybe it would be kind of cool to have 2 levels of just whatever the height is for mangrove trees. I'm pretty sure it would just be 2, technically, including the part that's in the water. But you could have 2 of those, and you could have the water kind of flow through it on the way to a reservoir or on the way from a reservoir. Like if we just had a reservoir stacked all the way up to the build height, made with just regular levees above the entire map, from which all of it would drain through mangrove pools across whatever, through a couple different levels of that. I know there's going to be more evaporation happening if we did that method, but past that, it could then go into a couple of smaller pools that would be kind of set up like this, with all of these deep water pumps, just so that we could extract as much water as possible. I think that would be kind of a cool idea. I don't know if it would be the most efficient thing, probably not, but that would allow us, and it doesn't have to be the entire top of the map or whatever, it could just be one quadrant or whatever, since I guess that word is such a popular topic of discussion, but I think that would be kind of cool. Would love to hear your thoughts. I'm obviously not doing anything on that at this exact moment in time, but I think that would be kind of neat in some way, shape, form, or fashion to integrate into what we are trying to do. So, now that we've gotten to that, yes, of course, the sun is setting, so I guess I can just triple speed, get back to daylight as soon as possible. Construction is a pain in the butt with all of this dirt, and I think the best way, like a lot of you have suggested, is going to be to have a whole bunch of tubeways just going over the entire top of the map so that they can just build infinitely down in a grid and everything will be perfect forever. No more problems or anything. Asterisk, of course. But I think we're going to do that. I think that would be a fun thing to do. And seeing how this is currently set up, we have a lot of terraforming to do here. This entire quadrant is going to be completely, you know, just straight up removed and replaced with other stuff. If we're going to start building some sort of a network of tubeways from which to construct things high above in the sky, we're going to have across one entire side of the map terrain that is not going to be altered that we can build on top of. So I think what's going to make the most sense is for us to take along this entire side, just because we already have columns here going all the way down, just take all of these all the way up to the very, very, very top, just to demonstrate what I'm doing here. We build these all the way up, and then we connect them, because we have these metal platforms, the 6x1s. Very, very, very easy way to do that. Just go all the way across. Of course, in the middle they'd meet. But from here, this is where this gets fun. From here, we would end up every other tile right there, and then two in between. So that's not every other, it's every third. But it would basically end up looking like this, and then it would just go over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And then, of course, that wouldn't reach all the way across because it doesn't have enough room. I just have to figure out what that is, and that's a 4x, 5x, actually, all the way to the edge. So we'd basically have a ton of these things spaced every 3 blocks. But in doing that, we could just take the tubeways and just have them go all the way, and I do mean all the way. From here, they just reach out like fingers, just depending on how we want to have everything tied together. I think that would be really cool. It would also be, you know, kind of a pain in the butt to build, but would be one of those things that's just really, really fun. So if you will humor me, which you already clicked on the video, so you kind of don't have a choice, I'm going to do that. But I am going to get this stuff set up so that we can actually access everything and, you know, just do what we have to do. It's going to be a little bit messy to get this situated in a way that's going to allow us to actually build stuff. And we're going to have to kill a couple crops and so on and so forth. But grand scheme of things, I think it is going to be just fine. Now, I'm just going to leave this in here because that was already in there. But I've already shown you that that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to time-lapse as much of this as I can, but we do still need to make some room in this area. So we're all on the same page here. Just have to make sure I have access to the rest of the everything here. I know, very, very technical description. So we're going to have to path here. We're going to have these columns go all the way up. Regardless of whatever happens between them, the columns aren't going to change. They're going to be there forever. Pretty much. So we just have to make sure they have access with paths. We will, of course, put in ladders. But that is something that can easily be time-lapsed. I just wanted to show you guys before I started so that we could all be on the same page and, you know, also not just jump straight into surprise, I'm time-lapsing 3 hours of gameplay again. Like, no. People like to see stuff actually get accomplished in these videos. So that is going to have to be just, you know, for the sake of simplicity, just going to have to be brought out that way, brought out that way, brought out that way, put in a staircase here just as soon as they're finished with that eggplant plant. Eggplant plant where you plant the eggplants so they can grow on the plant and then you can have eggplants from the eggplant plant. That hurt my brain even thinking about it. Alright, get that thing out of here. Come on. Or I could just speed it up. There we go. So, of course, we have this right here that is going to have to go up all the way as well. But here, friends, is where I'm going to have to enter time-lapse mode. Just put a whole bunch of this stuff in. Yes, the camera will move. I'm going to try to minimize it if I can, but that is the way it's going to go. We might run out of materials, and we might have to wait for more metal to be produced, but time is something that this playthrough has essentially unlimited amounts of, as long as I can sit here long enough for the time-lapse to actually be completed. But hopefully, by the end of this one, we'll have, at the very least, the skeleton framework completed. Tubeway placement is an entirely different can of worms. We'll see how much we can get accomplished. I'm trying not to have the time-lapses be too incredibly quick, because you do run into issues with the day-night settings and all that, just constantly flashing between dark and light. Like, okay, that's not really the best thing to be putting out on the internet, because people have photosensitivity issues, and it just doesn't look very good. But I'm doing my best. I'm trying. we're gonna get this taken care of one way or another. Trust me on that. We'll just do our best and see what happens. But I'm excited to see this come together. I think it's really going to be a game changer. Going to help us fill out the dirt a lot quicker, and hopefully have to do a lot less tunneling and scaffolding stuff if we can just do it layer by layer. But that's enough of my yapping. Let's go ahead and come out of this and see what it looks like. I bet you're wondering why I'm talking to you again during a time-lapse. That's because this has taken a really long time, and I wanted to talk a little bit about why. First of all, I did not have the efficient mine staffed by any more than a single beaver, so obviously that was slowing down metal production. But then when I turned the HUD back on, one of the many times that I've done that so far in this time-lapse, we're out of wood. And I remembered that we did not plant any more trees after we started doing more of the expansion of the lowest levels. So I did go plant a couple more of those. By a couple, I mean probably another 100 or 200, but unfortunately oak trees take 30 days to grow, and I don't want to babysit the other varieties of trees. That's just not worth my time. So, yeah. A little bit of a longer time lapse here. But hopefully you can see stuff taking shape in a way that's going to make sense and going to be rewarding for us as we continue moving forward. So since this is going to take a really long time, and I've got a lot of time to fill with the time lapse, we might as well continue talking about this now instead of after the fact. So I can actually... Oh, there's that cycle change sound again. But what I ended up having to do, if you take a look at the, well, anywhere on your screen, you can see all the different layers and all the different fingers of this thing we have coming down toward the camera. It didn't end up lining up perfectly for us to have, you know, equal space on all sides of it, because I spaced it so that every single tile will be accessible by at least one tubeway. So that means the one on the far right is up against, flush against the side of the map. The one on the far left is one block off. I'm not really worried about that. That's going to be fine. But because I know this is going to come up, why didn't I have the tubeways go all the way down to the terrain, and why did I use ladders instead? Well, the ladders are going to have to move anyway, because that's where we're going to be putting terrain. There's a couple different points where I can connect to this network of tubeways that are not going to be going all the way down to the ground where the ladders are. We have in the upper left corner, currently, in the orientation you're looking at, we have the one that's going all the way down to the very, very bottom where the water sources meet the base of the map. That one, I'm hoping I've put it in the right spot. I haven't tried yet, but I'm hoping I put that in the right spot to connect to this grid, and then toward the middle of the map, when we get into the whole center, 24, 25, 24, 25, whatever the coordinate is for those four blocks in the middle there, I'm going to try to connect at least one to there, and then there's going to be interconnects between them if I can figure out how to make that work. But I just figured it was going to be the easiest and fastest option for us to go ahead and have everything set up with what we can build now versus planning the platonic ideal, like ascended form of architecture, which, let's be honest, I'm not going to be capable of doing anyway, at least not to a satisfactory degree. Just get something done. To quote City Planner Plays, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Just let it be what it's going to be and figure the rest out when the time comes. So yes, all that being said, that's why I have this set up the way I do. Hopefully, if you don't think it's the best way, hopefully you can just understand that that's the way this is going to have to go, so we can actually get this accomplished within our lifetimes before the heat death of the universe. So, yeah, it's just going to take time. I'm trying real hard not to have the time lapses just be super flashing light dark all the time, and I don't want to turn the cycle off because I like when it's in single speed or triple speed or whatever. I like having that. So maybe I should just turn it off. Maybe not. Who knows? But what I do know is that eventually they're going to take care of this. They're going to get this whole web of stuff built, and our scaffolding is going to blot out the sun. How long ago was 300? Was that? My God, I was in high school. That was almost 20 years ago. Anyway, I figured that would be a fun episode title. But I digress. Hopefully by now they have all of this built. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I'll have sat here for hours and hours watching them do this and being too afraid to go leave the computer in case something goes wrong. But, you know, that's the way it goes, folks. It's not water beavers. But it is still kind of a challenge to get all this taken care of. We'll see you on the other side, hopefully. Bet you thought you weren't going to hear from me again until we were done with the time lapse. I got news for you. We're not done. Not even close. So what happened was, this has been recording now for coming up on 3 hours, 20 minutes. And it's gone a lot slower than I thought it would have gone originally. So what I ended up having to do, we already talked about planting more trees, but I ended up having to go in and add more beavers to the mine. I may or may not have talked about that. That was a couple hours ago. I would have done that. But then I went in and added a couple more, added a couple more smelters and an engine closer to where the construction's occurring, and just had to wait for those other trees to grow in and get more stuff processed, so on and so forth. So as I'm currently speaking, I'm looking at probably about 70% of the construction complete. There's still a ton left to do. There's 2 full layers of the overhangs to put in. But what I ended up finding out, and you probably have seen this already. I have no idea how this is going to compress when I go to time-lapse it, but I'm pretty sure you've already seen this. The last layer of the overhangs that I put in actually were at the very, very top of the build limit for the map, and I had to remove them because I could not put stairs in so the beavers could get up on top of those. So, unfortunately, despite my best efforts, this is not going to allow me to put in complete coverage over the entire map. It's going to be missing probably about 4 tiles worth of reach on the extreme far side, which is regrettable. But it's also taught us that we don't really have as much vertical space above the dirt as we think we do, or I think we were supposed to. So, fortunately though, what it's going to let us do is on the extreme end of the map, closest to the camera as you are watching this time-lapse, it's going to allow us to build almost everything, including all of the industrial stuff that's going to be going up there, and it's going to make it just so much faster to do almost everything else versus just trying to build up one little bit at a time. So I know you probably didn't click on this video wanting to watch what I'm estimating is going to be about 15 straight minutes of time-lapsing, but I hope it's fun to see this stuff come together, even though it's slow and I didn't really have everything set up perfectly. But it's still very important work that's going to really, really speed stuff up later. A little bit of work now is going to save a lot of work later, and I think that is probably something I need to be doing more of in these videos instead of just, okay, well, let's see what we can get done today. Now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch this thing go for 4 hours, probably, to build the rest of this so that we can have a better episode the next time we have one, and then hopefully start making our push toward 1,000 beavers a whole lot sooner than I originally thought, which was going to be like episode 50 or something. But we're going to see. I've ended up, I guess, going downstairs and making dinner, and then coming upstairs and catching up on some other stuff while I have this going on the main monitor. But anyway, it's the authentic experience of playing the game when I do this stuff. You know, that's how it always works. So it is what it is. But now, after this will actually have been either fully complete, or I'll have completely run out of time, and I'll just say, you know what, we just gotta move on, gotta figure it out. Hopefully Premiere lets me actually condense this as much as it's going to need to be. That's going to be an interesting problem to solve. Anyway, I'm not going to butt in again. This is the last time you'll hear from me before we go back to quote-unquote live play. So, I will see you there. Well, Timberborn decided that I was done, so I'm done. Okay, so after the game decided very rudely that I was finished with my time-lapse, even though I wasn't finished with my time-lapse, I'm done. I'm not sitting here another 4 hours waiting for this to complete. But if you'll notice, we do in fact have, I can't even get it all in frame, we have a lot of tubeways. A lot of tubeways that have, well, if it hadn't crashed, would have covered basically all of the map minus these 4 on the end. But, oh, hey, it actually does blot out the sun. Good. Then it's not a clickbait title. But, I digress. This is really going to help us when we get into actually moving all of the terrain around, which I guess I probably should do now, because despite sitting here for 4 hours watching this, it's probably only like 15-20 minutes of video content to this point. So, we talked a little bit at the very start of the episode about how I had somehow managed to put all of this on the wrong level, and this wasn't quite ready to go. So I think what's going to need to happen is we're going to have these guys pop some dirt in here in ways that's going to make this a lot easier for us to get everything popped in place more correctly. Unfortunately, we are kind of in a tough spot right now when it comes to stuff like having all of the materials to do this, because I've been pumping unbelievable quantities of planks and metal and all sorts of other fun stuff into the construction of our enormous block out the sun tubeways. So, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. You can't really ever guarantee anything's going to go perfectly correctly. But what I can guarantee is that we're going to help solve some of these problems by expanding our population and get that breeding pod turned back on. That's probably going to get us up to, I don't know, probably 120, 130, if I remember correctly. And that should fill most of these outstanding jobs here, allow us to add a little bit more stuff, and then finally get all of these pumps turned back on. I turned some of them off so we would have enough beavers to run, I can't even see anything anymore, to run these things. But the water level is getting pretty low in the storage, not in the reservoir, so I'm going to turn those back on, get those guys pumping, and we're going to have to actually get something accomplished here. This is going to be the worst episode I've ever made. But I really do think it's cool to have all of these tubeways absolutely everywhere above here, and I am glad that we decided to do that. But just to show you how much of an increase in height there is, like this is the top of the dirt here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, technically 11 above that. And I didn't think we were going to use all of that, but apparently I really could not do math very well. So, surprise. So this is unfortunately as high as we're going to be able to build anything, period, point blank, into this playthrough, unless I got mods that change that, but I don't feel like messing with that. So these guys will unfortunately only be able to do so much. But the rest of this little strip here I think is going to be totally fine. So, other nagging questions, since I know we need to actually get something accomplished here. A bunch of you said I don't need to worry about putting this column here, and I don't need to worry about putting this here. Well, obviously, this is holding up the entire reservoir, so we can't. That's why that's still there. But I'd rather still have this here, just because it's supposed to be. It makes my brain feel better. It doesn't mean it's actually necessary. It doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. It just this being done is gonna just help everything be less terrible. So that's why we're gonna leave it that way. But we have space here. We can, and I think until we can reroute everything else down here, I think I'm going to want to put in a tunnel here so that we can get over here and use this to grow trees. Do we really need to have that many more trees? Probably not. Am I going to keep growing that many trees? Yeah, because I'd rather have the wood and not need it than need it and not have it, you know, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is this row right here is where we would be putting all of our pathing there. Obviously, this is not going to stay here forever, but it's here right now, so that is what that's going to be connected to. Obviously, this has to move as well. But for where we are right now, this is about the best I can do. And if we are very, very careful, we can justify putting in a tunnel all the way through here, just so we can have this completely straight connected so they can access everything, and then continue tunneling around other spots as well as necessary. This still has to be blown up, which I have not done yet, because I was kind of afraid to mess with that. But I think it's worth continuing to plot out all of the rest of these columns, because remember, this entire level here is not going to flood anything. We can excavate under the entirety of this thing and not flood a single drop. And I think that's going to be the smart thing to do. So remember, why can't I see my 7? Cannot be built at the bottom of the map. Okay. Cannot be built. Oh, you stupid idiots. There's my 7. But I digress. Let's go ahead and make sure we get this popped in. This is 1, 2, so we're looking for 5 here. Then that's the middle. It goes 7 again. And then this is our middle 2 right there. Remember, this right here is 6. This would be 7. And there you go. That's got to get blown up. I know we don't have the planks for that, but before too long, they're going to finish all that construction up top, and we'll be able to get everything else situated. So this levee is here because the reservoir above it requires it, because somebody, I'm not going to name any names, it was me, decided it would be smart to put it there, and I really should not have done that, because that's going to make this a little bit more annoying to build in here. But it's what I did, and I strongly believe you should own your mistakes, so I'm going to do just that. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here, which means that is a column, which means this plus 6 will get us where we want to go. And then this plus 7 will get us where we want to go, but it's actually more than that because we have this bit in the middle here that's 2 wide. So we have 3 here, 2, and then 3 again. So that is looking just fine. This goes all the way through, as we have done countless times before, and now we can just kind of duplicate this mess over and over and over and over. The reason I put this in first is so they can go back and forth. Obviously, they're going to do all of it eventually, but you know, there's got to be a little bit of strategy employed here, theoretically. So we want 6 here, and we want, well, technically, we can just go up to that mess. That's going to be fine. It's going to let me just do all of this, and that's going to be so helpful. So helpful. That can go away. That can go away. Obviously, you know, we get further levels up, and then there's other stuff involved. But if we just get the bottom taken care of, then we can build from the top of that, and so on and so forth. There's a method. There is a method to this madness. It may not be the best method, but there is a method nonetheless. So, this here again, same difference we've always been doing. Nice and easy. Get that taken care of there. Just real simple stuff. Okay, so that is... this is the middle bit. That's right, that I was going to be doing something with and failed to. But that will take care of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means this bit here. Good to go. That goes in the center, of course. This whole thing is what it is. But I'm just going to focus on getting this part of this removed, because this entire quadrant we have really not messed with yet. And these two, this one here and this one here, are the ones we're technically working on right now. So they are going to take care of that. No, I'm not going to jump right into a time lapse yet, because that would be absolute overload. So let's instead get this in triple speed again, and take a little bit of a closer look at everything else here. We know the water has gone down a lot because we didn't have all of our beavers pumping in here. That should slowly reverse in due time. Not worried about that. Food is still looking pretty good. Kohlrabies are lacking because we haven't really put in enough in the way of farmhouses, and that was something that was brought up in the comments last episode as well. We have more than 2. The number that I remember seeing was you're going to need more than 2 farmhouses, and you are correct. We do need more than 2. And I thought for sure I had put one here, but I guess that was not correct. So if I go ahead and pop in a farmhouse here, it'll actually be able to reach a lot of that corn up there and some of these up here. And we're not using all of these, of course, because we don't have storage for it. But remember, the goal eventually is to feed 1,000 beavers, so the throughput's going to be a whole lot higher. We just have to have the infrastructure to support it before the beavers actually need it. You keep going again, and there's somehow still a tremendous quantity of other stuff that's accessible, which is really, really cool to see. But we do have technically 3 of those, and then we've got... I thought... What happened to my other farmhouses I put in here? Unless I'm just completely insane. Alright, so those of you who said you only have 2 farmhouses, I guess you're correct. I thought for sure I had put another one in. So before we get too fancy here, I guess I'm putting another farmhouse there. And I know we don't have the beavers to work these things yet, but we do have builders' huts that are deprioritized that can absorb the shock as these other buildings come online. Just have to get those things going and hopefully solve some of these problems a little bit quicker. But this is really, really going to help. Just an absolute ton. So where does that leave us with regard to the actual beavers themselves? We got them kind of scattered everywhere because I haven't decided exactly where the new housing is going to go. But if we look at well-being, basic needs are fine. Wet fur could be improved if we had more showers and stuff everywhere. We haven't gotten there yet. Food obviously is what it is. The stuff we haven't been making, we obviously don't have. Social life, campfires, they're going to be what they're going to be on 18-hour days. Rooftop terraces, we got rid of. I don't have anywhere to really put one of those right now. But we do have a couple of opportunities in key locations to just do very small improvements to well-being. We just have been using the metal for other things, so I haven't wanted to build beaver busts or beaver statues or anything like that. And the rest of these monuments, of course, we don't have the resources for yet. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say let's put in some beaver busts, beaver statues, and get that going here. We do have them unlocked, and we did have them at some point somewhere. It just... Oh, this is so hard to see stuff. Why did you build it this way? I don't know. I thought it would be fun. And it is, but... So if I put this guy right here... I mean, we're absolutely unashamedly cheesing the you-know-what out of this. But I would like for these beavers to actually be functional. It really does blot out the sun. I'd like for these beavers to be functional if at all possible. So that hopefully sheds a little bit of light on what we're doing here. I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to instead put a beaver statue in, because I know I can always put more of these things in other locations should I desire to do so. So I will just because we're already here, I'll just go ahead and I'll just put this here, and I'll put the beaver bust right here. I know it's ugly. It's gonna be okay. Don't you worry about that. And then this is gonna go right here, just because that will reach those guys. I know we got more over here. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're thinking about those guys too. Plenty of opportunities here. Beaver statue right in the middle. Beaver bust is not going to reach... Oh, this doesn't reach all of them either, because that... Okay, well, you know what? I don't care. I just aggressively do not care. We're getting it done. They're going to have to go through these anyway. This is not about perfecting the well-being. This is about giving it a meaningful enough bump to get some of these beavers to the next couple tiers of things. How in the world... Okay, we do have some homeless beavers. Okay, we can fix that. But remember, we get the buffs to... wow, this guy's only at 13 because he's homeless. But so okay, so bad example. Let's find a different non-homeless beaver. Oh, you're tired, huh? At 25, they get another buff to working speed. And of course, 32 is really far away. But this 22, well-being movement speed of plus 30% is really great, and a lot of these beavers don't have that. So you see how quickly this can become a very, very important, that's the wrong button, very, very important thing for us to take care of that I have admittedly pretty much ignored for a lot of what we have been doing. So now I need to put in more housing, and I guess I probably could be a little bit more methodical with this, but remember, this is all coming out at some point anyway, so I'm going to choose to just say, let's relocate this, get rid of that, and then pop in a doohickey right here. That'll get the benefit of all of these guys. So, again, all of these things are not technically super close in line to get constructed, but we can help that. Very, very easily, we can help that. And now they will build all of those before they build the rest of these tubeways, and before they build the rest of these tunnels. So, yes, friends, it is time again for a time-lapse. The episode of time-lapses. We're just going to have to let them do what they got to do, because boy howdy does this take a whole lot of time. But there's still other stuff we want to do. I need to put in a coffee brewery at some point, but I'm kind of out of space, or out of easily usable powered space in the current configuration of the industrial area. I know a lot of you want to see that ripped out and changed. It's going to happen. Not today, as I enter hour 5 of working on this video, but it's going to be coming soon. Once we're able to get all of these underpinnings taken care of and a lot of these problems solved, it's going to be so much easier to just get everything lickety-split put in there. I use way too many of these idioms. If that's even the correct word for it. I don't know. My last English class I took was 15 years ago. But I digress. All of this stuff matters. Foundation's important, so on and so forth, etc. Why is that? Okay, now I'm looking at this farmhouse over here to where the left side, it says it's not connected to anything. I thought it was, but clearly that was wrong, so I'm just going to, do a cheeky little path around the backside here, and that is going to be that. But, at any rate, they're time-lapsing, we're getting stuff done, and now they can actually reach things, so maybe things will get accomplished a little bit quicker. Who knows? But, food is probably not going to change for a while. Water should start reversing course on the, well, not flow reversing course, but reversing course on the whole not having a ton of it. And that should slowly improve. We'll see these things get expanded, detonated. You might even hear a couple of the explosion sounds, depending on how long I decide to keep talking. And that is going to bring us into probably the end of this episode, where we'll do a little bit of a debrief and talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop that there. One, because this is taking entirely too much time. And two, because this quadrant is now, save for a couple of things that are kind of unavoidable, quote-unquote, completely detached from the bottom. Obviously, we still have the whole reservoir on top of this, and there's another level on top of that that will need to go away as well, which we absolutely cannot touch unless we want everything to flood. But I'm going to consider that to be a victory. Obviously, there's still more to do here, and we will continue doing more stuff over there. But we finally just about have all of these tubeway stations complete, and these guys are, of course, going to be able to get to walk out here to place stuff on the as far as they can get. But I think this is hilarious to have all of these things just shadow reflecting off the bottom here. I'm gonna have to come up with a cool thumbnail screenshot for that, but I think this has still been pretty productive. We have our well-being average around 25. I did see it hit 26 for a very brief period of time. But we are slowly making progress, and now that we have this whole thing taken care of, it is going to be tremendous how quickly we can do terrain when the time comes to do terrain. So, moving into the next episode, I think what's going to make the most sense is for us to build out the terrain on this quadrant here, and then, of course, not messing with this until we have to, but just getting the rest of this joined up to this quadrant, planting some more stuff, and preparing to build on top of that which I think is where it's going to make the most sense to put our industrial stuff so we can mess with this one. There's going to be a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to have to think about it, and of course you guys are welcome to submit ideas and various other things, but it is time for this episode to end. I'm sorry if it's shorter than you wanted it to be, but I have spent half of my waking time today working on this, on top of doing everything else. So it just is what it is. I fear these episodes are starting to get kind of overly ambitious to the point where it's going to become impossible to keep doing them this way. But for now, this one works, and it's fine. I really appreciate your support. Genuinely cannot do it without each and every one of you being here to, well, first of all, watch the videos and give me ideas, and of course Beard Boosters subsidizing everything. Although these videos have been doing really, really well, so the subsidy isn't really a necessary thing for these. But the rest of them, it really does help kind of smooth things out from the quote-unquote business side of YouTube, and make it possible for me to just focus on having fun playing the game and trying to do stuff that's interesting without worrying about, oh, do I need to clickbait? No, I don't want to clickbait, whatever, that's dumb. I don't want to take sponsors for, I don't know, razor. I haven't shaved my face in 15 years anyway, but you get what I'm going for. I like playing the games. I like the authentic, kind, complimentary community we have here, and I very much appreciate that you guys are a part of it. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back in this series very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.